All right, what's going on? I got Monica here today. What's up, Monica?
Hey, Rob, thank you so much for having me here. I
Yeah,
am excited and I think a little bit nervous at the same time.
of course, no worries. It's totally just chill conversation. So what's going on? You staying cool today? It's another super hot day.
It has been a really hot day those last 3 days, but uh,
Yeah. So
yeah, staying inside and in an AC that helps survive those days.
yeah, I just turned mine up a little bit. It gets a little, I get a little toasty while I'm recording sometimes. So I want to make sure that I was at a pretty chill spot. But
Yeah,
before we go into diving in or getting off track too much here, Monica, would you like sharing a little bit about yourself, who you are and such?
sure. So my name is Monika Piaszczyk, and I was born and raised in Poland. I think I pride that a little bit in myself, although my accent gives me away.
It's a little bit.
A little bit, right? I tried, but my best to lose the accent, but doesn't go away. Um, and I own my own CAS service, and CAS it's a customer accounting services. So
Ah,
and
interesting.
specifically, I focus on bookkeeping, which I help business owners organize their finances. So stay on top of all their income and expenses so they kind of have an idea how much they are making and if there's any money missing. So I try to help them stay organized, which is challenging sometimes.
Oh yeah, definitely. I used to be like so on point with my finances for my business that I had like way too much like spreadsheets and everything all like laid
Yeah,
out,
yeah,
and I was just like overkill on my stuff. There's like stupid
sure.
little things that I didn't necessarily need to, and I've kind of
Yeah.
toned down a little bit. But that's just me personally, and I understand how important it is to be up to date on things. And it kind of shocks me how so many people have no idea what's going on sometimes.
Oh
How often do
gosh.
you see that?
Oh my gosh, that all the time, right? Like all the time. So just a quick little short story. Last week, actually, there was a client who reached out to me, and I work with a lot of plumbing companies.
Mm.
They quite a little bit complicated on the receivable side. Um, but so I've been recommended because they belong to like one of mastermind group.
Hmm.
So I got to that group and the words just had spread. So I have a lot of people from that group contacting me. So there's somebody who reached out to me last week, and I usually ask them to send me their file, to access to their file, to QuickBooks file, so I
Hmm.
can take a look and kind of know what's there, what needs to be done, just kind of a little bit of overview. I can tell them what's going on, right? So we hop on the Zoom. I take a look. We hop on the Zoom, and I was like, "Listen, I don't have good news for you. Like, did you file your taxes for 2021?" He said, "Yes, I did." He's so proud, right? It's like, listen, only half of your transactions for last year are there. Like, are you
Oh,
sure?
uh-oh.
So yeah, that happens all the time, right? Like I come across a lot of business owners that they are really good at what they do,
Yeah.
but the financing stuff, which is the bookkeeping, it's really tedious work. On following up on those little tiny things, right? And a
Yeah.
lot of those um, like plumbers or people who work in a field, they just don't have the patience to sit down and do all the office work, right? And especially when they are starting their own business,
Hmm.
it's you thin yourself so you spread yourself so thin and you have to wear so many hats that it's tough to stay on top of the stuff.
So how did you get into all of this? How did you like get into like starting your business, and how'd you get into the whole process of accounting, bookkeeping type world?
Yeah, great question. So I was 22 when I came to the United States, right? I didn't know English, so I went for quite a while learning English. I went to Normal Community College here in Connecticut, and then I was 24, and I had to decide on my major. But I always was asking myself, like, who do I want to be when I grow up?
I still ask myself that same question. So
right? So I just took a few classes, different classes, and one of them was financial accounting.
Mm.
And there was a woman who was teaching that class, and she just inspired me, right? She was like this hardworking woman, had 4 children. She had a full-time job, and she was teaching at the college as well, right? It's like, oh my gosh, that's just like, that's very inspiring. Like, that's who I want to be.
Yeah.
So it was a little bit of that, and the numbers kind of just really made sense, right? And with English as my second language, it was just easier to get. I can talk for hours about accounting and how things are organized, right? How the P&L is there and the balance sheet and where should be there here. And I had some friends going into marketing. It's like, oh my gosh, marketing, like that's just not so black and white, right? So I see myself quite often seeing the world in black and white, right?
Mm.
There's no gray, uh, which is challenging sometimes. So that's how I picked my major. And then it was a struggle actually to transfer myself into. So I babysat for a very, very long time. That's how I had put myself through school.
Mm.
And as soon as I was able to transition, I finished school. I started, applying for different jobs, right? But before that, I was always fascinated with QuickBooks, right? QuickBooks is an accounting software
Yeah, I
that,
use QuickBooks.
yep, that I was just, so I had the accounting knowledge, the debits and credits, and how things should look, right? But when I saw QuickBooks, it was like really puzzling, right? So like, okay, when I entered the check, when I write the check, so where's the journal entry behind it, right? Like, what happens there? Where's the debit and credit that I was taught at school? So I was fascinated to learn how to connect the accounting knowledge with the field, right?
Mm.
So I would take clients, here and there. Like somebody recommended me to a builder that his business went down in 2028, and he said, "Listen, here's my QuickBooks, and all what I want you to do just write checks. That's all." Right? But I was just interested, so I signed myself up for like a uh, coaching. Basically, I was able to call into it anytime for support if I didn't know how to do what to do,
Oh,
right?
okay.
So that's how I started building my skills with QuickBooks and how to look at the reports and how to dig a little bit deeper, how to organize everything.
Hmm.
And then I still babysat for a while, and just like I was dipping my toes little by little into it, right? So eventually I did leave that builder because there was no room for me to grow really. There
Hmm.
was somebody else who reached out to me that I knew that they were trying to grow their company, like a startup company. And he said, like, okay. So I was always very honest, right? Like, yeah, I have the degree, but I don't know anything. So he
Yeah,
said, no,
imposter syndrome. That's tough.
yeah. So he goes like, no, no worries. We will teach you, right? Like, we will teach you. And then when I joined, so also that gave me a space of, if I didn't know something, just would pick up the phone and call for a support to QuickBooks, right?
Yeah.
And that's how I learned, just like by making mistakes and doing really errors and having people, yelling at me.
You survived though,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
so
This is
now
great.
from there, is that just kind of how you got into your own business? Like when did you create your everything on your own, or did you start working at another place at some point, or where's the
Sure.
journey
So
from there to where you are now?
yep. So my full-time job, my first full-time job in the accounting was at a nonprofit organization in Stanford,
Hmm.
but they were not using QuickBooks, and I always wanted to know QuickBooks, right? So I was there. I needed the experience. I was there. I did a lot of like accounts receivable and payable tasks, and then after a year and a half, like I saw there was no more room for me to grow, right? So I always, at the same time I was working part time for a bookkeeping company from home, right?
Okay.
So they would give me access to the file, but that really wasn't working. My drive for the knowledge was always there.
Hmm.
So I changed jobs, and eventually I ended up at a CPA firm, right? I commuted to Bronxville, New York for a year and a half, and
Yeah, I know where
that's
that is.
that's where I learned really so much, right? Not only bookkeeping and QuickBooks, but really all the overall accounting, right? What kind of structures are there for different businesses? Why should a business owner change from, for example, LLC, move to an S corporations? I learned that. I loved Michael. The owner, he had the approach of from the educational standpoint, right? So I was able to barge into his office like anytime if I have a question, like his door was always open, and
That's good.
he would always answer, right? So I was there, and then I was at another CPA firm, really kind of managing a bookkeeping department. But what was with me, it was always I always worked a lot, right? So I worked like 12 hours days,
Cool. Yeah.
and and so somewhere inside, like I always want to have my own company, right?
Hmm.
But like I knew that I had just so much doubt in myself that I know enough to go on my own,
Mm. I see what
right?
you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah.
So always
So
second guessing yourself, and you're like, oh, yeah.
it's just like this is so important, right? Like, oh my gosh, what if I make a mistake? But eventually I ended up at CPA firm that they really were promising a lot, right? They were promising that I will work only 40 hours weeks. I would work with another bookkeeper who has like 10 years of experience. They had 100 clients. I will have 5 weeks of vacation,
Oh,
Fridays off
nice.
during the summer, right? So it's like, oh my gosh, great opportunity.
Yeah.
I got there, and the reality was totally different, right?
Oh, that sucks.
And that's where we started clashing, right? Because I started asking for whatever they had promised, and they were not delivering.
Uh,
So eventually, I was fired. Actually, I caused my own fire, right? Like I had enough. There was just like so much. It was overwhelming, right? Because a lot of those files, the clients that we had, they needed really hand holding. And
mm,
but what I saw there, right? I saw the need for the service,
yeah.
and where to find those clients and how to find those clients. So eventually I took like a personal development course that gave me a little bit more that gave me the self-assurance, right? That like I can stand up for myself.
Oh, like confidence.
There you go, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's when I started asking for my rights, and they didn't like it, right? And it's like, okay, it's time to go. So there
Yeah.
was still a period of time that like for 2 months I was applying for jobs, but at the same time I was building my own thing.
Oh, okay.
And then finally, it's like I'm neither getting an offer, a job, because I'm burning all the interviews, neither I'm really 100% dedicated to building my own company. And then finally it's like, let's just ditch all that and go
Yeah.
100% in, right?
It's pretty
That's
scary at first, right?
oh my gosh, absolutely. Like you go to bed, I remember like I would go to bed, it's like, what's going to happen tomorrow, right? Like this feeling of like you're falling into a canyon.
Yeah. Yeah, it can definitely be pretty intense. So you had mentioned a couple of different things there. You had mentioned your teacher in college was kind of like an inspiration to you, right?
That's right.
And then you also had said that you had taken this personal development course that kind of helped you get more confidence in doing what you're
Yep.
doing and becoming who you are. So it sounds like you've had a couple pretty big mentors in your life. Um,
Right.
what was the personal development course about? Where did you find that, and who was that with, and stuff like that?
Sure. So like as along the way I was going, in my life, I knew that if I want to grow, if I want to make progress in my life and want to have my own company, I know I had to learn public speaking as well, right?
Oh yeah,
And that kind of doesn't come naturally to me. We accountants, bookkeepers, we love hiding behind the screen. Networking was just absolutely like it was a scary thing for me, right? Like I would have to have a glass of wine before I went out there to have some extra courage to talk to people.
There you go. Only one. I'm impressed.
Yeah,
I,
yeah,
I
yeah.
take my fair share before I go to networking events. So,
Then there was another one, right? And that's that. Um, so I joined Toastmasters at some point
oh, here in Stanford?
in the Stanford chapter. Yes,
Oh, nice. I
yes.
went to one of them once.
Did you? Yeah. So I was there for a year, and I met amazing people there. Like those people are still my friends. Some of those people are still my friends in my life right now.
Oh, nice.
So I met there our good friend Gio Ramirez.
Yep.
So we just, with some people, you just have that connection, right? And Gio was one of them. And then we reconnected a few times. Like I was invited to his party. Um, and he learned a little bit more about my life and who I am, what I had gone through, right? And so once he said, you know what, I'm going to this event in the city. Like, do you want to come with me? And I wouldn't ask many questions. Like, oh yeah, I will be there. So he took me. We went into a city, and he attended actually a personal development course from Landmark,
Okay.
and it's called. Oh my gosh, it just escaped my mind. Like their core course.
Hmm.
Um,
That's all right. It'll come back, I
yeah,
guess.
it will come back. So they have such a powerful like marketing. I guess marketing. It's really great training for your own company as well.
Hmm.
Um, to be in sales. They kind of didn't let me leave the room until I signed up for that course, right?
Oh, okay. It's one of those.
Yeah, yes, exactly, right? And I was like, oh my gosh, I did like so much personal development. This is just another thing that I'm going to be wasting my money on. But I did it, and I had put off for a year and a half, and eventually I took it after COVID, and that was my like life changing experience, right?
Hmm.
Like I can't describe exactly like pinpoint what it was, but these over like 3 days, 4 days, and 2 evenings, they take you back by basically a little bit back to your life to help you close everything what had happened,
Mm.
right? So then it's much easier to be in a present moment, right?
Yeah.
So that's where I had opened up a little bit more, right? Like my mindset had opened up. It's like, oh my gosh, I can be friends with people actually, right? Because I would isolate myself a lot. Um, I can be friends with people. Like I can go and talk to people, right? Like I can go out and just have this like whatever conversation, right? Like this small chit chat, which like
Yeah.
I absolutely hated it. Like I would never start a conversation with anyone. So that had helped me open up my mind, right? Like my to
Now, do
become
you
a little
s-
bit
now do you
more.
still practice a lot of mindset things that you learned from there, or like any kind of other kind of mindset? Because I was going to ask you if you do any kind of meditation or anything, because dealing with numbers all day has got to drive you crazy and just in itself. So,
So one thing for me is just like I am really obsessed and dedicated to work, right? So if I have a client and I know there's something that like I have to do, like I have to do. And for the first year and a half, like until now, when I just started my own business, I just like really did not take any time for myself,
mm,
right?
super
So
grind.
I started. I'm really hard on myself. Right? It's like I put off the self care on the side because I feel like I need to drive this, right? But going back to starting my own business, I was terribly failing in my first 6 months,
Mm,
right? I was working all the time and networking, and I really wasn't making. I was making some money, but not enough to pay my bills, right?
mhm.
So I had never kind of left the organization. They have different courses, right? So I always stuck and took something else because I realized finally that the community I need to belong to a community, the same kind of minded people, right? Because it was
Yeah.
very easy for me to fall off the wagon and go to my old habits. and my own mindset.
I
Like,
see.
so I all the time stuck with, surrounded myself with those people,
Good.
right? And then I remember I was sitting just like today with on one of the courses, right? And there was a woman who came on with like a gold medal. She was a dancer, right? And with a gold medal. So just like a year ago, I was sitting exactly here, just like you guys sitting. And my coach told me, like, what are you doing here? If your dream is to go and attend a competition of a dance, like go and get a coach and go and apply for that competition. Go get what you want, right? Like, what are you doing here? And then finally it had kind of dawned on me that like I don't have to be by myself just in business, right? And that was the first time I asked for help. Brendan Gaidoris,
Yeah.
I knew Brendan was having this coach. He talked about, bringing people up and really helping them to see a little bit how to structure the business and guide, right? Then finally, I went to him and asking for help, right? Like, can you help me because I am failing here? I know how to do accounting and bookkeeping, but I don't know how to do business, right?
Mhm.
So that kind of took me out a little bit. He had guided me through those little steps to see my achievement, just week by week, right? Because I
Yeah.
just wanted to do this big jump in a month, right? Which was unattainable.
Got to take baby steps first, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. We got to start from walking, not running already, right?
Yeah. Baby steps, and you got to build it up, right? Exactly.
Yeah.
So you talked about really the power of community there, with one with the personal development, two with your coaches, and even I would just assume like your clientele now has got to be pretty helpful too, because you're always surrounded with them and surrounding yourself with good people, right?
That's right, right. So, being, surround yourself in the community, it's just like it's a key factor for me to stick with my goal, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because really,
What is your goal for your company? Are you trying to grow it into something much bigger, or are you where is your goal for this?
yeah, no. So in 10 years, I would love to have 10 different offices around the United States, right?
Very
And
nice.
bring, hopefully more than 1 million a year.
There you go.
But really my passion is to have school to teach people, women or men who wants to learn actually bookkeeping, right? So if I
Hmm.
have clients, they can come and really practice on real files,
Oh, I see.
right? And that takes this back again to me. So when I was getting into the industry, like I was looking for a mentor, somebody who would show me things a little bit around, right? And I really struggled with that. And it's like I will pay any money if somebody would just sit down with me and look at the file and tell me exactly what needs to be done,
Hmm.
right? Because then every business is different and every client is different, and then the communication is a little bit different. So that's really my vision, like my desire is there, right, to provide that kind of support for people who do want to make their own living, right? Because it is possible to really live well, right, and help people who need help or want help, and they want to grow their own business, right? Because the finances really it's the base of every business. And it's sad that so very few people really look at their finances.
It's shocking.
So
So what
so
are the next steps for that goal for yourself? Where are you at in that journey of that goal?
ah, so there is just like there's a lot going on at the same time, right?
Hmm.
I'm still the only person. I do have somebody who is helping me with the data entry, like day-to-day data entry, because I have some clients who make 2 million, 3 million a year. So really the transactions need to be updated at least on a weekly basis.
Hmm.
which now with just like 30 clients, it's not possible for me to do it myself.
Yeah, I
But
see.
I'm still by myself, right? Like I haven't still hit the goal of my finances to hire somebody. Uh, all right, and just
So
repeat the
that's
question.
so my question was, where are you at in the what stage are you at for your goal of developing that kind of almost like a school for teaching
The
others who
school,
are
yeah.
looking at it? But I guess what you said it perfectly there. So right now, before you can put any kind of energy, resources, time into that, you got to kind of get yourself to the next level where you can kind of free up a little more time for yourself in your own business.
Right, exactly. Right. So I'm still working on bringing clients in so I can hire
Hmm.
somebody to help me. So then
Yeah,
I can take, my time and then start recording videos. Right. So that if I would have videos and resources there, I wouldn't have to sit down with everybody all the time. Right.
exactly. Yeah.
So they could go, or if people wants to learn, they would be able to purchase some of the videos out there just to grab it and learn on their own as well,
Hmm.
right? So my struggle is like I absolutely hate seeing myself on the camera.
Well, public speaking should be helping with that, right?
That's right. So yeah, I'm trying. And so just Brandon and I, we kind of had drafted a course, and not necessarily for like bookkeeper course, right? Um, but for people who go into the business, right? Like the basics, like the
Mm,
really basics, what you should do not to get yourself in trouble with the government, right? Like, I mean,
yeah.
I had a conversation with a friend today. Um, he's like, yes, great. I'm looking for a CPA, some advice. I created the LLC. I said, so how do you know how much you made and how much where would you spend your money? Like, how are you doing that? Like, do you have a QuickBooks file, right? He goes, like, no, just the Excel spreadsheet. And he goes, like, I really can't have the QuickBooks file because my finances are commingled, like my personal and business,
Oh,
right? Like, I
yeah.
don't,
That's really good, right? That's
you
what you
don't have
want to
a,
do.
you don't have a business account. I was like, are you serious?
Ooh. Yeah, not too good there.
So I mean, just like I come across those people all the time, right?
Wow.
And even though it's so basic, like I wish people would know that going
Yeah.
into business, right? So like put off even just like don't register your business, right? But make sure you have a different bank account.
Oh, yeah. It doesn't even have to necessarily be a business bank account, correct? You could just open up a separate one until you get the business kind of rolling. Just
Yeah,
clarifying this is personal and then this one it's still a personal checking, but it's going to be my business checking.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly, exactly, right? So like when you get the paperwork, like when you register and you get your EIN number and the registration with your state, then you can go to the bank and transfer, to your this account to your business account, or just open a business account, transfer the money then.
Yeah. What I did before I had started anything, I was just taking a little bit of cash every from where I was going, and I
Yeah,
just put it into an envelope. And I that was my thing. I was like, this is my business stuff, and then everything else is my personal stuff. So, and then once I made that leap to actually making my own business,
yeah,
I got everything through with the LLC, and then I just went straight to
yeah,
the bank. I was like, here's my money. Let's put
yeah.
this somewhere where it's going to be taken care of.
Yeah, that it's amazing. It's amazing, but like a lot of people just like don't have that kind of mindset. It's like when I come across like you or Brendan, like you have guys the structure, like it's like, oh my gosh, really, those people exist?
Yeah. That's crazy. That's mind blowing that some people are just let me just mix it all together and kind of see how it goes.
Yep, yep.
Let me pick your brain for a second because you did say earlier that when is a good time for LLC and S-Corp. When are the differences? What is the best point in time to switch over?
Yeah, so that's it all depends of your really your tax return structure, right?
Mhm.
Which like I take a step back a little bit because I haven't done taxes. I did take few courses, right? But um it's really good timing is when you make around 100,000 in
Mhm.
in your business, like in revenue. That's a good time really to transfer from LLC to the S-Corp, right? That's when that's going to save this tax structure is going to save you money.
Okay. Yeah. There's a lot of different things that kind of positives for both, right? And
Yeah.
then you can start saving money on different sections and different areas, I
Right.
believe, right?
So the major, just like the major differences, right, to keep in mind that like on S corporations, you don't have to pay self-employment taxes, which you have to pay, and that's like 15, almost 15% on
Yeah.
your LLC, right?
Yeah.
And but in S, when you structure your company as an S corp, then it's required to take a salary, like a
Hmm.
reasonable salary, IRS says, right? Which, it depends of from business to business. It all depends how the cash flow is going as well, right? Because IRS anyway, you will escape from that 15% self-employment from your LLC. The IRS still wants some money, right? So like on
Right.
your W-2, then you're going to get W-2. Then later on, if you're running payroll, they still want the Medicare and Social Security number, and that's good for everyone as well, right? For later on, that towards working towards retirement.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, yeah, so that's a lot of stuff going there, and you've kind of touched on where you're planning to go. So you're planning to hire some teams, eventually have multiple offices, down the road have a course, something that you can provide, some kind of educational content for
Yeah,
others. So you've got a lot of stuff going on right now. Uh,
it is.
we
It
talked
is.
about. I asked you how do you keep yourself sane with everything because you got numbers all day long. You said you do some of your mindset type stuff. What does some of your mindset type stuff look like? Do you do a lot of journaling? I asked you if you did any kind of meditation or anything. Like, how do you keep yourself sane?
Yeah, I mean, so lately, so I've been in meditation. So at some point, I was just like so overwhelming life that I had joined, kind of like I practiced deep breathing techniques,
Oh yeah, I love that.
right? Yeah. So that, I mean, it was an amazing experience.
It's kind of intense, right?
It is. It
Yeah.
is. When you start practicing, and it's like at some point, I remember I felt like my organs were expanding.
Oh wow. Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah. And so I did a lot. I did a lot of meditation. I love yoga. I'm still working on my schedule to. I have in a schedule. I not necessarily make it there always. It's on my
is it
calendar.
is it in the mornings?
It's not.
Ah, I was gonna say I think we got the mornings set up now though.
We got the morning set up, right? But I got myself into this just like spinning wheel a little bit, right? And at some point, I was talking to Brandon, and he had me like write the daily tasks, right? And he's
Yep.
like, so let me take a look there. What do you have there, right? It's like this is all work related. It's like, and he goes like, you can't work all the time, right? That was kind of my wake up call. Like, oh, really? I don't.
Wait, I can actually live my life. I don't have to just work.
That's right. That's right. Right. So that's when I just like started opening my eyes a little bit, right, and looking for different avenues now. And I tried yoga, but I couldn't like really stick to it, just by myself. Yeah,
Mm.
it's nice. And that's when I finally, I've heard the step challenge with you. So that was great. And that went really well. I really liked it, right? There were some people that I knew, and I went with Dayani for a walk, and that was
Yeah.
nice, so I showed up, right? Because then when I work all the time and I spend so much time in front of the computer, um, I don't want to do anything, right? Like I just want to plant on the couch, uh, shut off my mind, just like watch, Netflix or some silly videos on YouTube. Like I just don't
Yeah.
want to think anymore. Um,
It's
but
tough sitting for long periods of time. I every once in a while I'll have like a 2 day virtual workshop, and I'll just be sitting here at my desk for 8 to 10 hours for 2 days in a row, and I'm just exhausted. I'm like, damn, I'm so tired from just sitting all day. And
yeah,
I totally understand what you're saying.
yeah. So actually, like joining your challenge now, it's just like it's so helpful. And like, what you had offered, just to really jumpstart,
Hmm.
like the first day I wasn't up at 5, right? But like I jumped out. It's like, oh my gosh, I gotta be out there. So like it's just the feeling that like, there's accountability,
Yeah.
right? So I make sure that I have right people, right?
Yeah.
And the relaxing stuff, just like I feel so much better if I go for a walk or for a run. And in May, when we were doing the step challenge, like
Mhm.
I on the weekend I went for 5 miles walk, right?
Wow.
And as soon as May was over, I never went on a walk.
Oh man. Well, we got to get you back into it.
So
So
I gotta get back to it, exactly. So today I had the thought. I actually did text Nayani, say like, do you know any group that I can join? Like I think she was going to like volleyball
Mhm.
games or practices or whatever. So it's like if I will join and have on my calendar and I would have to show up there, I will show up, right? Because that's just like the biggest thing for me. Like I always show up no matter what.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you're always at all the events. You can always count on you to show up for
Yeah.
support, and you're always there. So love that. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, you talk a whole lot about your about support, though. I guess that's because you're so great at supporting our kind of community that we're kind of growing and developing, and everyone always leaning on each other, and also between your mentors and people together. And you're talking a little bit on how you joined my step challenge in one of my training programs now, just community and kind of getting active, getting moving, finding
Right.
those people to do some volleyball or trying to get back into yoga a little bit.
Right.
um, and you talk a lot about how much you're working. When you're not working, are you still, are you just completely down and zoned out, like kind of Netflix, just kind of chilling, or are you still reading a lot of different kinds of material, like books and things like that? Are you still looking to grow and consume those kind of materials too?
So I do. I always, right. So I do have days where just like I when I look at my desk, like I don't want to see my desk, and
Yeah,
I just want to just shut off my mind and don't look at any of the development, even just like personal development, right?
yeah.
So
You need those days. So
I do have those days, right? So like Saturday morning, it's my morning. Like I like not to get out of bed until noon,
yeah, well, there you go.
right? But I always like I'm always learning something, right? There's just like so many.
You
Either I
reading any good books right now?
so I have I've been listening, so I'm not such a good reader because I sit and work in front of the computer all the time. So
Yeah, it makes
I'm
sense.
usually playing something on
Mhm.
my phone on audiobooks, right? So lately I've been listening to the One More,
Oh,
that
The
you
Power of One More.
Power of One More,
Oh
yeah,
yeah, great book.
right. So
Did I
what
tell you
else?
about the time when I met him?
Yes,
Okay, yeah.
yeah.
Yes, no, Ed Milet. Yep.
Oh, if I've heard it when you met him, I haven't. Have
Oh,
you?
yeah. You've never heard that story?
No.
Oh, Brandon and I bought 100 copies of his book, and we went down to his book launch. So we got to do a little meet and greet. And going up for a photo, I was just talking to him. I was like, "Hey, how's it going? How you feeling after the day?" And he's like, "By God, you're a good-looking dude." And I just started dying laughing. I was like, "What?" And I was like, I'm just trying to look like you, man." And he's like, "Man, when you look like you do, you don't have to try." And I was just
Oh,
like, wow, all right.
oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Yeah, it's so funny. Yeah, I have a photo with him somewhere on my Instagram. So
Wow, you gotta post the game.
yeah,
I
I'll,
gotta
I'll
see it.
recycle it. Yeah, I
All
will.
right.
Oh
Wow.
man.
Where was the book signing? Did you guys travel far away?
Yeah, it was like a big actual event. So there was a bunch
Okay.
of speakers. It was in Raleigh, North Carolina,
Okay.
and it was like essentially going on during a hurricane. We like lost power for a minute. We thought the building was going to blow over. It was wild. It was an intense one, but
Wow.
it was a great time. So met a lot of great people there too. Brandon and I just flew down and flew out the next day, pretty much. So
Yeah. So I listen to I listen to the audiobooks, and then I attend like different workshops from Landmark.
Hmm.
Uh, that's the personal development. Um, what else do I do?
What do you like to watch on Netflix when you're just chilling out? How do you turn off from the work mode?
So my favorite show, and I've recycled that so many times. It's Grey's Anatomy.
All right, I've watched a couple episodes,
Yeah.
so yeah, it's a great one.
So because I've watched so many times, I don't have to pay attention really what's going. And like you can pick up any chapter and just kind of pick up from there.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
you just kind of go from there. I've got a couple of shows just like that too, so
yeah,
I
yeah.
totally resonate with you. Um, well, yeah. So we talked a bunch about a lot of different things. Do you have any other projects or anything that you're kind of working on? I know you're going to Laguna soon for another
I'm
public
going to
speaking.
Laguna. I am so excited. I am excited. So that's happening next week.
Oh yeah.
And I just, I mean, I did have my doubts last week. It's like, I really suck at this public speaking. Like, I don't know what to say and how to say it, and all this pressure, right? But I think I just want to get out there and just kind of have fun with everybody. There's going to be a bunch of people that I know. So
Yeah.
hopefully I'm not going to be so hard on myself. So that's coming up. For the summer, my mom is coming to visit actually, so I'm gonna be spending a little bit time with family. I think I will take a little time to spend with them. She just comes once a year, so I don't get to see her, that much. But at the
I'm sure
same
you schedule
time,
that in the calendar.
that's right. Yeah, my sister always, guilts me into it, like you're not spending any time with us. So that is coming up, but I really want to get up and running. They're my recordings, so I want to start building that library, and I've been talking about that I think for a month now or two.
It's it'll
But
be there. We'll hold you to it. Next time we'll have you on, we'll have a launch for you. How about that?
there you go.
Nice. I want to be conscious and courteous of your time. We're kind of getting pretty close here to the end.
Sure.
So I just wanted to give an opportunity for you to kind of share with where people should connect and follow you and find you. How do they stay in touch with you, reach out to you for services? So where do people find you?
Sure. So they can find me under my first and last name on LinkedIn. I do have my business page as well there, which is Monika's Bookkeeping Services.
Mhm.
They can find me on Instagram, which is Monika_bookkeeping, and Monika with a K. As well, if you just Google me, I created my Google profile as well. Just keep in mind that Monica with the K in Connecticut, not in Texas. There is another bookkeeping service in Texas. So my cell phone number is there, my email is there. So reach out, one
Totally.
way or the other.
Totally. So follow Monica for some great bookkeeping and accounting kind of information and content. And hopefully we'll see a lot more stuff soon once the course drops, once you get those recordings going. And reach out too, just for some services, or if you have any questions, right? Are you an open book in case people have specific questions?
Yeah, no, I'm happy to give any advice, like open different, separate bank account, right, for your business. Or
Yeah.
just if you're in the area, let's grab a coffee.
Oh, perfect. Like that.
Happy to do it. Yeah.
So before we go, what are your last words of wisdoms? What would you say to someone who's just starting out in their entrepreneurial journey? What would be your one piece of advice for them to survive the side hustle?
So I think the most important thing is to belong to a community, right? To find the support. I mean, the support that I had found, like through Brendan, I've met you and many other people. That gave me and still gives me, the drive every day to go, right? So even if I just really don't want to do anything, the next day comes back and I get a call from somebody, or called with Brendan, and you always get energized, right? So my piece of advice is just like go and don't be one of me who was hiding for a very long time. But people, love talking to other people, and surround yourself with like-minded people, right? Like those driven people, because it's very easy to fall back into this for me, and I don't know enough, I don't think I can make it mindset when you isolate yourself, right? When you are alone, and ask for help.
Oh yeah, fire. Love that so much. Ask for help, surround yourself with great people. Gold right there. Monika, I want to appreciate you so much for coming on, and thank you so much for taking the time. And I really do want to have you come back on, so we'll have to schedule another call down the line a little bit, and we can share a little bit about your videos that you're recording here.
All right, thank you so much, Rob. I really appreciate.
Of
Thanks.
course. We'll talk soon.
Bye.